In the shadow of the American Family Field, the ARCA Menards Series Sprecher 150 gets ready to roll at the Milwaukee Mile. The history pours out of this racetrack. What we hope won't be pouring today is the weather. Mother Nature has already shortened practice, but they were able to get qualifying in. Taking a look at the General Tire starting grids, Krista Kelly alongside Jim Trado will be joined with Mike Massaro in just a bit, but Sammy Smith is your General Tire Pole Award winner. The 18-year-old in the number 18 rolls off first, Jim.
We're getting down to this part of the season where we see row 3, Daniel Dye and Raja Karuth coming here just 4 points apart, second and third in the standings.
Nick Sanchez right there. He's sort of hunting, if you will. He is the championship leader. Tony Brenninger, great qualifying effort for her. She starts in row 5.
6 female drivers in the field, including Mandy Chick back in row 7, and Amber Balkin will carry an onboard camera with us today. Looking forward to seeing how she does here in the number 30.
And as we continue to look through the field, we want to remind you that there is a sense of urgency. That weather we talked about still sort of circling. We have 150 laps on this 1 mile track. It is the oldest continuous racing venue. Jim Trado, you haven't seen all of those memories, but you have a lot of them. This is home for you.
This is my area. I've never moved from here in all my years, and it's still, the arm hair is still raising here. It's a special day to have racing at the Milwaukee Mile, especially these days when people ask me all the time, what's going on? What's going on at the mile? We've got a great race today and great views here, Krista, with our onboard cameras.
Nick Sanchez of Rev Racing will be giving us the General Tire view. Again, Nick Sanchez rolls off 8th.
Amber Balkin and the Sioux Chief onboard camera. Looking forward to seeing her advance. 3 top 10s on the year. Looking for her 4th here today.
And you're riding along with Daniel Dye, the Volusia Sheriff. Become a Deputy.com camera. Going to be a lot of fun to follow him through the field today.
We talked about those points, the championship. All 3 of our point leaders actually were in this race 1 year ago. Daniel Dye did the best of them, finishing 3rd. So he has that hope and that drive going forward to get some more points on leader Nick Sanchez.
As you see him approach turn 3, let's take a look at some race info as we get you ready for this great race at Milwaukee Mile. 150 laps brought to you by Lucas Oil, 150 miles. We're going to take a break, Jim, around lap 50 and lap 100.
2 50-lap sprint races to figure out what the last 50 is going to be like. They'll have pit stops at those lap 50, at or around, and lap 100. Great racing here.
ARCA Menards Series returned to Wisconsin last year after a 14-year absence. The drivers, the fans, the series loved it, so they're back today for more. And the tap is about to open on the Sprecher 150. The green flag is out. Hello, Wisconsin. Sammy Smith out front quickly. Taylor Gray tucking in behind in that number 17. It's going to be a great battle for them all year long here and all day.
Traditionally, the bottom group here at Milwaukee has been the preferred, but Sammy Smith, for the 6th time this year, leads us from the General Tire pole. He had choice of lane. He chose the outside. It's working instantly.
Look at these teammates, the 15 and the 20. Those are teammates for Venturini Motorsports side by side.
Jesse Love won last week at Springfield. He had a teammate in Buddy Kofoid racing in his shadow throughout the day. Now it's number 15 of Landon Pembleton, his young teammate, racing for 3rd, continuing off the backstretch.
We've seen Landon Pembleton earlier this year, had a great run.
Iowa Speedway, he really made a splash, and his 5th place finish there on the 7/8 mile.
They are stuck together, that 15 and that 20. There you see Jesse Love making a little move, coming out front. Jesse Love, last week's winner at Springfield. He's going after Taylor Gray.
Daniel Dye has the same race car. He raced the 3rd here. He's racing to the inside, a little too wide there. That's Landon Pembleton, his first time here at the mile. We had that weather-related day. Are we going to get on the track? Are we going to get to qualify? Landon's learning this racetrack. Daniel's got some experience here. We saw how quickly he was to the bottom, and Landon really went a group and a half too high there. He'll learn from that moment.
The yellow flag is out, our first caution of the day here at Milwaukee. And it is out for the 03 of Alex Club. Alex Club, that sort of blue-collar team, does everything sort of himself, coming off a great finish at Springfield. 11th for that team is like a win.
And this is the same car. They really worked hard on that car. They had a lot of nose damage, other issues with the machine, and going back to Morris, Illinois, not far from here. This is a home track for Alex and his dad, Brian. A lot of work, and unfortunately, it looks like that car got in the wall early here in the Sprecher 150.
I went down, made sure to find him this morning, because I know that 11th place really means something on the dirt. See, the window net is down for Alex Club in that 03. Again, the first yellow of the day here at the Milwaukee Mile for the Sprecher 150.
making his 9th start here on the season. The full-timers, here we go. Krista, we got our hands full on the championship chase among those 3.
Well, and for so long, we were talking about Nick Sanchez, Raja Caruth, teammates there, the number 2 and the number 6. They were neck and neck. It's starting to spread out a little bit. Daniel Dye now in the 2nd position, but Raja Caruth just 4 points behind.
And that dirt mile we had last Sunday really was a difference maker. Daniel Dye gained some on Nick Sanchez, got 2nd position for Raja Caruth after the race 2 races last weekend. It's really jostling now, and Daniel Dye coming into form. Sanchez and Caruth were here last year, but they were non-factors, finishing 12th and 13th, and they never raced on the dirt before last Sunday. We're going back to a dirt mile this Sunday, so there's a lot to play here in Daniel Dye's favor, just 13 points out now.
And if you've watched the last 3 races, you've watched them all within the span of a week, because we went from the ARCA Menards Series went from a road course to that dirt track you talked about at Springfield, now back to what I guess we would call the normal of being a flat 1 mile oval.
Lots of racing left on the schedule, but it's inching away now. This is event 15 of 20, and Sammy Smith, this young driver, he's been really special in the races he's run this season.
Well, let's hear how special. Let's join Mike Massaro, the 3rd member of our broadcast team, downstairs.
Well, hello. Yes, I wanted to talk about the dynamics of the last week or so. Of course, we had a road course in Watkins Glen, then a dirt track in Springfield, and in between that, there was one driver who also ran a super speedway, Daytona. That was Sammy Smith, your current leader of the race. He ran the Xfinity race there. So a lot of learning, a lot of different styles of racing. I spoke with Sammy before today, and he said he was really excited to get back to quote-unquote normal racing. Quite the education over the past week. Required quite a few mental gymnastics, if you will. Had to go through various techniques, road course, dirt track, and of course super speedway driving. But now he's back to his bread and butter. Really excited about it, and obviously one to watch here this afternoon. Started on the pole in a car that was dominant a year ago with Ty Gibbs behind the wheel. Every lap here 1 year ago.
It's an early check here. This early caution gives these drivers the ability to say, wait a minute, we qualified just a while ago, couldn't touch the car on impound. What do you have? These crew chiefs want to know more. And Mark McFarland, the common thread here between that dominant run last year by Ty Gibbs and Sammy Smith, he's got his entire team intact to bring Sammy back to the mile in their stuff. Last year, Sammy raced here as a teammate to Ty Gibbs.
And we talked about the race, or their practice this morning was shortened by that weather. So these 5 laps that they've now had under their belt, a chance, like you said, to just sort of take your breath and just sort of take a breath. Because if we're up on the chip up here, Mike Massaro talked about mental gymnastics. The viewers should know that Jim Trado actually knocked over a monitor doing his own mental gymnastics.
I did. A lot of hand movements up here, but you know what? It's great to see Raja Caruth doing as well as he is here this early. He talked to me this morning. I said, how are you getting ready for this race? He said, last year doesn't count. I've been really doing a lot of work, and I need more seat time. Not iRacing time, more seat time. He settled in here in the 6th early on.
Well, they're going to get the seat time today here, 150 laps at the Milwaukee Mile. We talked about Daniel Dye and that number 43, the same car he had also at Phoenix, another flat oval. There you see Daniel Dye's car. Let's take a look. He is this week's Bounty Rookie Spotlight driver.
I want to win a lot of races. I think that's in anything I race in, whether that was quarter midgets when I was a kid or late models over the past couple of years, and anything moving forward. I want to win races. This year I'm full time and I have an opportunity to win the championship. I think being able to call myself an ARCA champion would be really, really cool. I think it'd be really, really cool for the GMS team too. So I think that's our end goal for the year, but the last couple races we've had a little bit of trouble just doing a couple simple things, just get rid of those mistakes, and we're in great shape. It's really cool being able to race Nick and Raja for the championship. Those are 2 of my buddies here that I talk to at the racetracks, and it's cool being able to race against those guys. Obviously they're having a good year, both of them. Just gotta run up front just like they are, a little bit better, and hopefully get a couple wins ourselves, and hopefully be right where Nick is right now and take the championship lead, and hopefully by the end of the year. I love the Milwaukee Mile. We ran really well there last year, finished 3rd to Ty Gibbs and Sam Mayer. I love that place. I have a little bit of something figured out there, so I'm really excited to go back. It races really, really cool. I like racing around other cars there, and it's super fast, so I'm excited to go back.
That is our Bounty Rookie Spotlight driver, Daniel Dye, taking a look at the Bounty Rookie Challenge points, and he loves racing and bowling, 2 things that fans here in Milwaukee love as well.
Oh yeah, we have the American Bowling Congress headquartered here that oversaw all league sanctioning for years. It's now in Texas, but there's a lot of kegling going on here in these parts. I can guarantee you that. Daniel Dye has taken over this Bounty Rookie Challenge lead because he's at 8 straight top 10 finishes. The other 2 are bouncing around 10th and 11th on occasion, but he's been really consistent getting that Bounty lead with a separate point system.
Taking a look at Greg Van Alst in that number 35, a veteran of the ARCA Menards series. He is also a contender in the championship battle, trying to stay in those top 5 in points. As we continue to bring you racing from Milwaukee, the yellow still out. We'll get you back under green in just a bit here on MAV TV.
The ARCA Menards Series is brought to you by General Tire, anywhere is possible. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. And by Menards, save big money at Menards.
Welcome back to Milwaukee. The Brewers in town today. Game as well. But the big spotlight for us is at the Milwaukee Mile, just a few steps away over in West Allis, Wisconsin.
There's a lot of neighborhood houses right along the backstretch between here and what we see where the Milwaukee Brewers play. It's a great community effort. West Allis outgrew downtown. Alice Chalmers built this city.
That's a tractor. I know that one.
They manufactured more Alice Chalmers tractors here than anywhere else in the world for a span of time.
I was driving around the
right
racetrack this morning on 77th. Here's where you're talking on the backstretch in those houses, and I thought how cool it must be to live where you walk outside and that's your view is the racetrack. Yeah,
I've been coming here since the early 70s, and I'm telling you see people hanging out of trees. You can't get enough of it. The history here. Victory Lane itself has been named after A.J. Foyt, who raced here more than any other track in his lifetime. He raced midgets, he raced sprint cars, he raced Indy cars, and USAC stock cars for a lot of years here on the mile.
Well, there you see the Sprecher root beer that is lining Victory Lane for the Sprecher 150.
Right on the podium, you see that stacked boxes of yellow. Those are actually cases of Sprecher root beer. For the second straight year, Menards stores nationwide have allowed you, if you bought a case of that Sprecher, that got you redeemed for a race ticket here at the mile this weekend, their sponsored race.
That is an awesome promotion. You know what else is awesome? How to get around the Milwaukee Mile. Jim, do you have your keys for us?
We've got a few glances thus far at what I think are key components here. When can you get back in the gas? These corners are as long as the quarter-mile straightaway, so you really need to figure out when you can get back in the gas. I think turn 2 is really important here. Main reason, you need to be good off a 2 to make a pass into turn 3, and you need to get in a rhythm here. As big as this track is, and as flat as it is, there's a lot of turning going on. You need to get in a rhythm and not be tricked by how far that car wants to lean over to the right-hand side.
You see the pace car dip off the racetrack onto pit road. That rhythm has happened for about 5 laps of green until now. We are back racing in Milwaukee. The 17 of Taylor Gray taking a peek underneath Sammy Smith in that 18. Sammy Smith was your pole sitter. Taylor Gray says, I want it. Sammy Smith says, not so fast, as they dive into turn 3.
Taylor Gray this time nice and even. They're up above that repaved strip. It's got grip up there, but Sammy Smith's trying to say, hey, wait a minute, I need some more racetrack to run, not the high groove. I don't want to be above into the marbles.
Sammy Smith takes the edge across the line. That's an 18-year-old in the 18 racing a 17-year-old in that black number 17. Could that be a Reese's sweet move? This battle is going to continue.
These are racing lines, not just because the bottom is where you want to be, but really you can run the middle and up. We just saw how able Sammy Smith was to take this lead back from the outside.
Talking to drivers today, they said it's deceiving because there's a lot of room here at Milwaukee, but you can't really use all of it. You've got to stay in that racing groove.
And the biggest thing, Krista, the track looks symmetrical, but when you go to turn 1, you have a grandstand reference. A lot of young drivers said, I don't know where I need to turn in on this 70-foot wide racetrack in turn 3. So they're starting to figure this out really for only about the 20th minute of green flag time we've had all day for these drivers.
And 14 of 150 laps complete. We mentioned the Reese's Sweet move. You're going to need to stay with us all afternoon because you have a say in that as we find out. We're going to nominate 3 moves, and then you get to vote tomorrow morning on the MAV TV ARCA Menards Series Twitter account on what your Reese's Sweet move of the race was. As we continue to watch Sammy Smith lead out front, that number 1, that's Jake Finch. That Finch name is a familiar one to race fans.
James Finch's dad has been a winner here at the Milwaukee Mile, but it's Jake's turn now, the 17-year-old out of Florida, making another start here in the ARCA Menards Series. He raced in a bunch of ARCA Menards Series East this year, not a full schedule. But great to see Jake on the move forward in that number 1 Toyota. Jake's got a lot going for him at just 17 years of age.
Do you have more, Mike? Jake Finch in that number 1. We'll try to check back in with Mike Massaro in just a bit. I actually, as I was talking to him, Richie Waters is down there working with Jake Finch. Richie Waters, a familiar name to fans of the Truck Series, which used to race here at the Milwaukee Mile.
Richie for a lot of good teams, including Billy Ballou's and James Finch's efforts in the efforts here. He actually won a race here with J.R. Norris back in the day.
Were you here for that?
I was.
Of course you were.
Ran a super late model with Dalton Armstrong actually back here in June at the mile on the other big weekend of racing here at the Fair Park.
There's just so much history, not just here at Milwaukee, but for race fans in Wisconsin in general. And talking to drivers, that's why a win here means so much. You don't have to be from the Midwest to understand it, but someone like Sammy Smith, who's from Johnston, Iowa, he certainly does. Midwest racing, so important. So many race fans, I know, all across the country, but they really love it here in Wisconsin. Sammy Smith is a 2-time winner this year, back-to-back wins in the ARCA Menards Series.
And for as busy as he is with the Joe Gibbs Racing in the Xfinity Series, he's only 4.5 hours from home. A lot of folks have been paying attention to this young cat since he was 11 years old running bandoleros at Elko Speedway.
And we're watching the battle for 4th here between the number 20 of Jesse Love. That's Raja Caruth in that 6 trying to hunt him down.
I like Jesse Love's attitude. I really like the fact that he won a race. Now he's sitting in 4th in that Yahoo Toyota, but last weekend at Springfield, he led all of the laps in this 73-lap race at Springfield last Sunday on the dirt. He ran really well the year before there. He also has lap times here right with the leaders at this point in the race.
Well, let's see if we can hear from Mike this time. Mike, what have you got on Jesse Love?
You know, Jim says he loves Jesse Love's attitude. Well, his attitude is just taking it up a notch after that incredible victory last week at the Springfield Mile. I spoke with him moments before he got in the race car today, asking him about what that win did for him. He said it gave him his swagger back, and that swagger could go a long way. His approach today is to do the same thing he did last week. Obviously, he's not going to lead every lap, but he says he intends to come home with a trophy today. He wants to go on to a winning streak.
And who doesn't love Love when you think about it?
And he finished top 5 at Watkins Glen. He won at Springfield. We're going back to a dirt mile. He has a chance to win some big money if he wins both dirt mile races. There's a lot going positively for that young driver that's been on the eyeballs of Toyota Racing Development since the age of 10. He's now 17 with the great opportunities.
So we're going to talk about that, but yeah, it's a sort of a contingency, a race within the race for those dirt races.
Yeah.
So Jesse Love is eyeing that. He knows he has a chance to win $50,000 next week at DuQuoin. But first, he wants to win here at Milwaukee. Right now, he's holding off that 6 of Raja Caruth, but Raja is hungry.
And I'm watching the groove. So the patch in the turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 is symmetrical. But we see how the drivers are coming across that darker portion of the racetrack. We're going above that now. The left side tires dancing on that seam of the darker patch to the older asphalt to the outside, the grayer asphalt. Then Jesse's really doing a nice job keeping the outside running. But Raja, he is right there.
They are door to door coming out of that turn. Jesse taking the slight edge over the 6 of Raja Caruth.
It's not about how low you can go in the corners here at Milwaukee, how much speed you can carry through the corner. Caruth again trying to steal some air off the rear left fender of the 20 of Love.
Jesse Love, just 17 years old, a ton of racing experience, as we were talking about. Raja Caruth came into racing a little bit late compared to some of the pipelines that we talk about, but he is not wasting any time learning. Look at him dive down to the inside, trying to take the lead from that could be a Reese's Sweet move. This is the battle for 4th, by the way.
And there's owner points implications for these two teams as well. Raja Caruth's team is full-time with one driver. Corey Heim has split time with Jesse Love, but that team and that car number accumulates points throughout the year. And the big payout at the end of the year, yeah, the driver gets the championship trophy, but the big check goes to the owner champion, which they're fighting for as well in these two cars.
And we have been stuck like glue with these two on the battle for 4th because it's just that good. We do want to remind you that Sammy Smith in that 18 is still out front, but Raja Caruth able to take the advantage away from Jesse Love for that 4th position.
Getting around the 44 of Mike Gowdy, Toronto, Ontario racer. Good to see him back after one race last year, back here in the ARCA Menards Series for Andy Hillenberg.
Got the leader on the left, Sammy Smith in the 18, the battle for 4th on the right. And we don't see him in your screen right there, but Jim, are you seeing something on the racetrack?
I'm seeing Sammy Smith pull away and gained a 1/10 of a second even through traffic on this duo. He's got a 2.4 second lead as Raja has figured it out. He's now ahead of Jesse Love, who's now changing his line a little bit. A shallower exit off of turn number 2 this time to get some grip down the backstretch.
What a summer it has been for Sammy Smith. He has those back-to-back wins. He wanted to win at Iowa, his home track. Wasn't able to get it done there, but was able to come away with back-to-back wins in the summer. And really has been racing Xfinity Series, has been racing anything he can do once he turned 18 this summer.
He raced Daytona in the Xfinity Series on Friday night. He qualified 3rd, but it was a short night for him after the rain delay. He got some early accident issues, spun off of turn 4. But keep in mind, this kid also finished 3rd at Watkins Glen after racing in the ARCA Menards Series the day before. So this is really part of that development for Sammy now in his 11th ARCA start of the year. And
these teenagers, Sammy Smith, and here we look at the 17 of Taylor Gray. This is what they do. You ask them, what do you guys do away from the racetrack? What are your hobbies? They don't have time, first of all, to have them, but they don't want to do anything else. If they're not racing, they're studying racing. If they're not studying racing, they're thinking about racing. This is not just a job for them, it is a way of life.
Daniel Dye running 3rd right now, that number 43. Really good job with the BecomeADeputy.com number 43. Dye racing for GMS Racing. This is the same car, same team, same crew chief Chad Bryant that finished 3rd here a year ago while he was racing full-time ARCA Menards Series East points. Now in the National Series, just 13 points out of the lead. He's running better than his points combatants. Roger Caruth back in 4th. Sanchez, the leader, back in 6th right now.
As we watch Daniel Dye, 43, on that preferred bottom groove here at Milwaukee. We introduced you a little bit to him. We got to learn more about him in our Bounty Rookie Spotlight feature. He talked about, they had some bad luck at the beginning of the year, but really it does seem like they have found some consistency these last few weeks, Jim.
Yeah, 8 straight top 10 finishes heading into this one. 3rd at Michigan. Okay, he's 18 now, but he never raced at Daytona, his home track, before he raced there in February. Finished 3rd. 2nd at Phoenix, and then he kind of lulled a little bit, but he's rolling strong now for the second half of the season.
Watching Raja Caruth and that number 6. Caruth currently racing 4th for Rev Racing here at Milwaukee, trying to chase down Daniel Dye. Daniel Dye starting to close in on Taylor Gray in that 17 in the 2nd position as Sammy Smith continues to lead. Here's the 20 of Jesse Love. Jesse Love in the 5th position, and he has Raja Caruth's teammate Nick Sanchez starting to hunt him down.
And the 20 team is actually leading the owners' points. In 2nd is that number 2 of Nick Sanchez. So there's a battle within here. 11 points separating our 2 owners' points leaders. So it's another thing to keep those Benarini and Rev Racing teams close in contention here. Nick Sanchez again has had the point lead for the last couple of races. His teammate Raja Caruth in his first full season had the lead for the majority of the season, and now we're getting down to it. And it's looking like Jesse Love with that maturity, that confidence now, racing with Nick Sanchez, and a whole new opportunity for him. The car is nothing like it was a year ago when he finished 12th.
And Nick Sanchez is only about 2 tenths behind Jesse Love. He is coming, and he is coming fast.
These long straightaways can lull you into entry into turn number 1. We saw Love go high and around Raja Caruth. Raja got back by him on the inside. Now Jesse's running that upper lane, dipping into the bottom of the yellow line in turn 2. Nick's just following suit here. Reminder, we have 2 race breaks built into this race. We're 20 laps away from the first race break, so they're not communicating with their team. This long green flag run is important to get a handle on things.
And they're dealing with lap traffic, too.
And Sanchez, you were right, Krista. Sanchez is coming. He's just kind of pacing it, giving himself some time to get this car right. So when they make that race break, they get it right with he and his crew chief, Matt Butcher.
31 laps complete, so that first race break will come in about 19 laps. Jesse Love, our winner last week on the dirt in Springfield, now racing on the flat 1 mile over of Milwaukee, and he actually said he raced on Friday at Davenport, down in Davenport, Iowa, pretty nearby.
Yeah, that was in a midget. He's getting more dirt midget racing, which I think is just part of his wheelhouse. That kid ran 70-some races a couple years ago, Jesse Love did, before getting more attention turned towards pavement stock car racing and racing for a team here in Wisconsin, run by Chris Wimmer, with Toyota's involvement. He's run a lot of big races in super late models, so he's getting more comfort, more confidence. He ran here back in June of 2021 in the super late model Father's Day 100. So there's a lot of things to where do we race, how do we race. Jesse's getting some more opportunities now back in the dirt car after a couple of years.
And I love it when we throw in names from the past or just names that Wisconsin fans will recognize. Wimmer, certainly one of those for sure. As we continue to watch Jesse Love in that number 20, everybody is trying to chase down that number 18. That's your leader dealing with the lap traffic. That's Sammy Smith in the 18. He's 18 years old, a 2-time winner so far this year, hoping number 3 is going to happen this afternoon here in Milwaukee on MAV TV. Welcome back to the oldest continuously operating speedway in the world, the Milwaukee Mile. Such an awesome place to race, and the ARCA Menards Series is doing just that today here in Milwaukee. That's the battle for fifth that we're watching, because it is so good between Jesse Love, number 20. He currently holds it. Nick Sanchez in the 2 wants it. And there's a whole lot of mix going on here, Jim.
That could have been a big moment. Rajah Caruth was trying to look to not get picked off at turn 4. Somehow he got through it. He's on the mash pedal. And look at Sanchez to the inside now. Sanchez in the 2 and the 20 of Jesse Love. I didn't think Sanchez was going to get this close to him. I thought he was going to get stuck behind that lap car. No way. Sanchez is on it.
Well, and Landon Pembleton in that 15 is hoping that some sort of mistake is made by one of those two, because he is just sort of like a cat pouncing back there waiting for his chance.
And Landon's used to racing late model stock races, 100 laps in duration, same 4 tires. So this is really coming into him in that number 15, just his second ARCA Menards Series start in the Mobile 1 Toyota. But for him, getting it figured out comes with laps. And those 100 lap races and having used tires in one set for the entire race day, it's coming into his favor now in the 15.
Mike Massaro, what else do we need to know?
This should not be a surprise the way Landon Pembleton is approaching the race. Spoke with him earlier. He told me this is the biggest track he's ever raced on. But then again, Martinsville at the time, about a year ago, was the biggest racetrack he's ever been on at that point in time. And he went to Victory Lane there. That's where everyone took notice of Landon Pembleton and his talent. Today, he tells me because there's so many unknowns, he's still learning. He said he's going to use the first 50 laps to go to school, try to learn, and then put what he learns into effect in the final 100. It'll be interesting to pay attention to. Finished third in his Elko race just about 2 months ago.
Let's go ahead and take a look at an Auto Park It replay on the pass that we just saw. Jesse Love in the 20, Nick Sanchez in that 2. Landon Pembleton close behind, but Nick Sanchez makes it stick.
I was kind of wincing because that 9-degree banking feels awfully flat when you're racing side by side for that long into turn 3. Great job by Nick, and look how much he gapped it right away. Good job by Sanchez to get that spot.
Nick Sanchez running 5th, just behind his teammate Rajah Caruth, currently in the 4th position. They're all chasing down the number 18 of Sammy Smith. And we are just 8 laps away from our first race break, the first of 2 today here at Milwaukee. 150 laps in the Sprecher 150. I have actually not opened my Sprecher root beer that Jim Fredo was nice enough to bring me. It's too exciting. I've got too much to watch here.
The official craft soda of ARCA Menards Series, and you know what? It's made right here in Milwaukee.
Brewed here in Milwaukee.
Yeah, that's great.
For so long, Milwaukee was known as a beer capital, right?
Yep.
The brewing beer capital with Miller and Pabst and Schlitz.
And Randy Sprecher came from being a brewmaster and made his own brewery, and he's now doing a lot more sales in the soda category than he is in his wonderful Sprecher beer, which is brewed here in Milwaukee.
I feel like we probably wouldn't turn down either.
No.
You know?
Yeah,
but
Schlitz, Pabst, and Miller were the big 3.
right.
Other than St. Louis with Budweiser, this was the brewing capital of the world with all the 3 breweries at one time, really making it a staple. Called the Brew City for a reason.
Nick Sanchez, we're riding on board with him, the General Tire onboard camera. Nick Sanchez, one of the few really old enough to drink any of those beers that you just mentioned. He's 21. Let's go ahead and take a listen at what's going on inside his race car. Riding on board with Amber Balkin. She has the Sioux Chief Showdown camera for us in that number 30 machine.
And she wants a caution. You can tell she's off the gas early. These are the leaders getting by her. She went a lap down, now losing that position to the car currently running at 6th. Look at Amber Balkin in her first year. 14th race, 14th new track for that young driver out of Manitoba. And that Canadian has a lot going, but she needs to get some good luck going right now for this season.
Well, there are 5 laps to go until that race break. Here you see what's going to happen. We'll have 2 of them at or near lap 50. That's the one coming up. And then again around lap 100. Teams have 8 tires available. Amber Balkin really just hoping for a clean day. She has had a lot of bad luck, bad results in these last few races.
She's doing a nice job here. This team with Mark Rett actually ran Max Gutierrez last year here at the mile. So they have decent notes. He raced the full ARCA Menards Series East. This is an ARCA Menards Series East points race as well as the ARCA Menards Series. So current notes, a lot of track time. Amber's got a lot going for her. She came in here last, I think it was Friday night already. Got a nice big tour at the Sprecher Brewery to kind of get settled into the culture here in Milwaukee for a day. Went high there in turn 2 though, man, that car's a handful.
So again, she has to make it last and hold on for 4 more, now 3 more laps as Sammy Smith crosses the start-finish line until we get that race break in and teams can make some changes, get some fresh tires on those machines.
One thing Mark Rett keeps telling her, you got to improve, and she finds speed during races, just the results have been horrible for her. Crashing out or not of her own doing at Watkins Glen and Pocono, 2 that come to mind that just have other issues. So she's had speed, just a matter of getting that confidence and finishes and getting those maximum points as she's now back in 6th in the points.
We talked about some of these drivers want to treat this like school. Sammy Smith is taking the competition to school so far in these first 48 laps here at Milwaukee. He has about a 3-second lead over Taylor Gray in the number 17, Daniel Dye in the 43 running 3rd as Sammy Smith continues to make it look easy in Milwaukee.
So you look at Ty Gibbs and how good he was in this race car last year, led a bunch of laps in the Sprecher 150 at Milwaukee. This year, Sammy Smith has that ride outright, but Sammy's communication to Mark McFarland is still evolving. Ty Gibbs, I want to say, was more to the point of what he wanted in the car, and Sammy's helping make calls. Mark's even told me, even on restarts, we're letting Sammy decide, do you want inside or outside on restarts? They're giving him more input, but in return, he's learning how to communicate with his team. Ty Gibbs, I think, had a better language of what he wanted on the car, so it's another way for Sammy to develop. I bring that up because if we come to this point in the race and the car may not be as fast as the second segment begins, it could be because Sammy asked for something that may happen later in the race that he's asking for now, and it may not be the right move. They have another shot at it.
Well, and sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
Right,
sometimes knowing that and having that confidence of knowing what to ask for, I would imagine, is what a driver and crew chief sort of work for, and knowing the tone in their voice, too. How badly does he need that? The caution is out. Again, this is for the race break that we were expecting right here at lap 50. 100 laps to go in Milwaukee. There you see the yellow flag.
The good news is there's overcast. The track conditions haven't changed a lot in the first 50 laps of this race. The crew chiefs like Mark McFarland, with all that success he's had, he is talking to Sammy about changes that will likely be consistent with track conditions and track temp. It won't be a drastic change for these young drivers, including Sammy Smith. As good as his car is, if he asks for no changes, that still might be the wrong move. You know, it's kind of cool how they can work things out here under these race breaks.
All right, we're going to find out what these teams ask for, what these drivers want in their car. Sammy Smith continues to lead over Taylor Gray, Daniel Dye, Raja Caruth, Nick Sanchez. This is the future of the sport you're looking at right here. Welcome back to the Milwaukee Mile. We are under a race break. Lap 52 laps turned of 150. This is the Sprecher 150. Jim Trado has been singing the praises of Sprecher Root Beer, sponsoring the race.
I think the man in charge, Sharad Chadha, said, you know what, I need to come over and see if he's really giving it a good sale. I'm selling a lot of root beer for you, Sharad. It's great to see Sprecher back here at the mile again, supporting the ARCA Menards Series in this big race.
Jim, thank you so much for having us back. We are honored, and we are so great to give back to the community and sponsor the Sprecher 150. We're very excited. Thank you.
And the activation, I'm telling you, Krista, I've seen the Menards boxes. I bought one myself. It's really cool to see that Menards has embraced that too, where fans get the ticket just by buying a case of your Sprecher root beer.
That's right. That's right. So you buy a case and you get the case for the race, and we make the best root beer in the world, as ranked by many companies, Taste of Tasting Table, New York Times, many others. And of course, I'm biased, but we put real Wisconsin honey. We brew our root beer, which is unlike most of the companies out there. It's just cold liquid mixed together. Ours is really brewed and cooked in the same kettles. We're the oldest craft brewery of Wisconsin, as you know, since Prohibition. So we make a great soda, just like we make a great beer.
Well, thank you so much, Rod, for coming up and joining us. We see the root beer cases in victory lane right there as we continue to watch the teams down in the pits. This is the race break here at Milwaukee Mile. So go ahead, pop the top on a Sprecher root beer wherever you are watching ARCA Menards Series Racing at the Milwaukee Mile on MAV TV. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Milwaukee. Drivers, teams taking part in the race break, the first of 2 scheduled race breaks here at Milwaukee in the Sprecher 150. That's the number 20 of Jesse Love. Jesse Love currently running 7th as Sammy Smith continues to lead. And we are coming into this race after a wild one last week in Springfield on the dirt. Let's take a look back.
Jesse Love has an absolute rocket ship. That's the car that Corey Heim drove to victory, and it looks awfully good, just as good as it did back 1 year ago.
So in terms of being patient, I think Jesse's showing a lot of speed, but I think Buddy Kofoid is showing some patience in that Mobile 1 Toyota.
Jesse Love battling hard, trying to not give his teammate any room down low, protecting that way. Oh, we got big trouble on the front straightaway.
Given everything they could on the final moments, they knew the white flag was about to unfurl. Kofoid had closed to the rear bumper of our race leader, gave a look at the exact wrong time with a lap car right there.
Dominant fashion today for Venturini Motorsports. He wins the Atlas 100. An incredible run for the young man who picks up the victory today.
So Jesse Love wins last week. He's back in the car today from dirt to asphalt. Jesse Love in that number 20. He is just 17 years old. It was a wild finish for sure, and it really sort of shook up the points a little bit as Nick Sanchez continues to lead, but he leads over Daniel Dye and his teammate Raja Karuth. You're seeing Sammy Smith, our race leader, here in this race. Let's go ahead and throw it down to Mike Massaro. Mike, what's happening with these race teams right now?
You know, pretty standard up front, Krista. Most teams didn't do much adjustments, just 4 tires and fuel. You did see the 18, however, put blowers on the air intake, trying to cool that car down, it would seem. But the biggest adjustments I saw were on the 6 car of Raja Karuth. I was told by crew chief Brad Means that it's rolling a little bit tight right now. They made some significant adjustments, wedge on both sides of the car, also right front shock adjustments. So it seems like Raja doesn't have exactly what he wants at this particular point in time, trying to make it better here for the final run.
All right, thanks, Mike. Raja Karuth in that 4th pit stall. His teammate Nick Sanchez right ahead of him. There you see Sammy Smith. He has that number 1 pit stall rolling off. Sammy Smith has really been putting on a clinic so far today. He was your General Tire Pole Award winner, leading the laps. We have had 1 caution for the damage, the 03 of Alex Clubb in the wall early on lap 5, and then this second one for our scheduled race break. There you see the number 7, that's Eric Caudell, 55 years old from Piedmont, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I first saw Eric race here in a Super Truck Series race here in the early 2000s. So he loves this place. He's been here a bunch.
You've seen it all. This race,
not everything.
we talked about Jesse Love coming off that win at Springfield. Jim, let's see if we can dial him up.
Jesse Love, Jim Trado in the MAV TV booth. I saw you come to pit road, and as you left, just about, your crew chief Shannon Rush asked for one more change. What do you guys want to feel in that number 20 car in this next segment?
Yeah, we're just looking for some more front grip. Just lacking right now in that area, so working on that right now, and I got all the faith in Shannon Rush, my whole Yahoo Toyota Camry team, and we got no quitting us, so we're going to keep working on this thing until we get it right, and try and get us up back to the front today.
You seem like you're varying your line as if you were still racing at Davenport Friday night in a dirt midget. When it comes to this racetrack, how many different lines have you tried, and what's been working lately on fresher tires?
I've been trying to split everything, but, you know, obviously this place, you got to make your straightaways long and your corners shorter, so I'm working on that right now and trying to get the car to do what we want to do, and like I said, I got all the faith in the world of my team to get this thing dealt right back in.
Hey, Jesse, thanks for your time. Good luck.
Thank you.
So that's Jesse Love in that number 20. I think he gave us a lot of insight there. So stuff we're going to talk about here in this next segment of the race, the next 50 laps. Again, this is an ARCA Menards Series national race. It's also an ARCA Menards Series East race. You see the championship points there between Sammy Smith and Taylor Gray. Those are the 2 really battling, and they are the 2 running out front today.
Yeah, Sammy has won 3 of the 5 races thus far. Keep in mind, this is a combination race. When we go to Bristol in September, that's another combination race. That's the season ender for the East Series. So 3 of the races again this year, like last year, are combination events. So they have to really get on their game, and glad to see everybody playing together so far nicely at Milwaukee in a combo race.
And those names that else we saw on the points, they're in this race as well, because again, this is an East race. So Leland Honeyman, Stephanie Moyer, Brad Smith, they're all in this race today at Milwaukee. So what's going to happen here in this next segment, Jim?
Taylor Gray is going to try to be exciting on the restart. He saw how the 18 car gapped him. He might want a little short run speed. His crew chief Chad Johnston has exactly what Taylor wants in that race car. Early speed is what Taylor Gray needs to have, or we're going to see Sammy Smith pull away again. So it's an important restart for the 17 team on the inside.
17, Taylor Gray on the inside of Sammy Smith in that 18, but you have Daniel Dye and Raja Karuth alongside back there in row 2. The pace car dipping off as we continue to go racing in Milwaukee. The green flag is out once again.
Taylor just not having the drive on the inside. He's got a great car, but Sammy Smith had a better restart. And down the backstretch, here comes Rajah Caruth in third, getting that spot away from the 43 of Daniel Dye.
And it really looked like Sammy Smith was just able to kind of take that launch on that outside on turn 1. And look at how he's stretching it out.
Rajah's gone wide. Here comes Dye on the inside. We're talking about changing lanes in a hurry here on fresh General Tires.
Let's see what happens coming in here into 1. Rajah Caruth on the outside. He cannot take the launch the way Sammy Smith did. Daniel Dye able to take the advantage.
You mentioned you don't know what you don't know. Rajah Caruth is still line searching, and it's great to see he has the speed and the confidence in himself and this team led by Brad Means to do what he needs to do in that Cambridge Chevrolet to hang in here and gain some more points. He's 17 out of the championship lead right now.
And remember, these teams were just able to make changes. They were able to put on fresh tires, tell their crew chiefs what they needed, so they have to sort of feel that out as well. We talked about the weather conditions. We were kind of racing Mother Nature. You said the overcast conditions, that could be helping these teams.
Guess what? We got bright sunshine, and it's getting muggier out by the minute here late August in Milwaukee. That could change a lot of things. The track could get greasy, and when that's a handful, those long corners get ever longer.
Humidity in the Midwest. It is a beautiful and soaking thing, isn't it?
To the inside, I love to see Leland Honeyman move forward to that number 15. He has Kevin Reed on the box. Kevin Reed's won a championship. Kevin Reed has also got this young driver dialed in. They get him right down there. They bring him in the shop days before they actually get the chance to race with multiple drivers in the 15 this year.
And we're on board with Nick Sanchez. That is our points leader in the ARCA Menards series. It's a general tire view that he's giving us. Nick Sanchez racing 5th, trying to chase down his teammate.
Another side-by-side battle here. We'll see Sanchez. He's tucking in. You see that patch. It's a good tell for us. How low on the racetrack are they going? How high are they on the racetrack? Sanchez kept Pembleton low that time. Pembleton's got to just kind of hang his run, but Nick, I think, has the preferred spot, and he's got a lot of mojo heading into turn 1.
Well, you don't want to give up the position. You see Landon Pembleton kind of hanging right there, but you also, to force, I guess, the issue, at what point do you just say, all right, I'm going to give it to Nick?
You got to give up at some point because tires do wear here. This old racetrack, it was last paved in 1996, so there's some Wisconsin weathering as well as some grip issues. So if you go hard at it for too long, too wide, you're going to pay.
Let's get more on Nick Sanchez, Mike. We might have some technical issues down there with Mike. We'll try to get that report from him on Nick Sanchez as we continue to watch. Landon Pembleton was able to take that spot from Nick. Landon Pembleton currently running 5th as we watch Daniel Dye going after Taylor Gray.
That car has responded to some changes. Perhaps Daniel Dye, the driver, is saying, you know what? If I get this on fresher tires, I got something. That number 43 Chevrolet for GMS Racing is moving. Currently 3rd right now behind Gray. He got really close to him into turn 3, so let's see how that turn 2 drive off, how he can get off that pivot, down the backstretch, making that straightaway longer as we learned from Jesse Love. Does it matter here in turn 3? Not this lap. He got close last time, but Taylor Gray's a little better now through 3 this lap.
And I don't know if you noticed, Jim, but when you were talking to Jesse Love and Jesse said, I've got to make the straightaways longer, the corners shorter. Did you see my hands? I was actually trying to figure out with my hands. Okay, I got it. Okay.
And it's a matter of getting on the grass as soon as you can. So if you diamond the corner, you're really lengthening the straightaway because you're already turning mid-corner to get it squared and on the button. Not waiting until the exit of turn number 2 to get on the gas.
All right, Mike, let's try you one more time. How you doing?
I'm doing good. You got me? You got me now?
Gotcha.
You got me now? Okay, great. So Nick Sanchez in the midst of this championship race, right? So you would imagine late August, getting closer to the end of the year, perhaps he would pedal a little bit softer, maybe be conservative, protect. Absolutely not. I spoke with Nick. Nick said if it comes down to a situation where I have the ability to race for a win, there's no way I'm laying up in racing for points. We're seeing evidence of that today. He's living up to his word. Got through what was a tricky stretch of the schedule last weekend with a road course and a dirt track and came away with pretty significant lead, although he still would like it to be greater. He's not holding up. He's still going for victories. Expect him to push toward the front.
And he's going to have to push, at least later in this race, because right now he's running 6th, and he has the points lead that he has over Daniel Dye and Rajah Caruth. Well, it could be eaten away a little bit because Daniel Dye's running 3rd, Jim, and Rajah's in 4th.
Yeah, and the race lead, really, the point lead has really come after the win at Michigan, then a 2nd place finish at the Glen, and a 5th place finish on the dirt mile for his first ever time on dirt. So that team is coming together. But again, we got another dirt track, and I think these guys are a little more apprehensive about that and how the importance became at Watkins Glen to do well, to get more points. It's also getting important here at the Milwaukee Mile as things continue to tighten up front.
Sammy Smith, watch out. Taylor Gray is coming. Just 2/10 separate these top two cars, the teenagers, 18-year-old Sammy Smith and 17-year-old Taylor Gray, racing at Milwaukee.
So there's a two-sheep showdown points on the line here. The ARCA Menards Series East, these are 1 and 2 in the points for that. And they're also trying to get as many points as possible for their car owners. The 18 car has been here every race this year, with Drew Dollar splitting some time on the big tracks till Sammy turned 18.
And they know eyes are on them. As we talked about, Sammy Smith turned 18. He started going Xfinity Series racing. Taylor Gray races in the Truck Series. They are not just racing in ARCA, but ARCA Championship. That is what they're after, and that ARCA Menards East Series Championship as well.
Yeah, Taylor told me at Watkins Glen, he said, I'm here to win races in ARCA. That's my primary focus. He's had over a half a dozen starts already in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Should have won at Lucas Oil IRP, ran 6th at Richmond in the last 2 races, so he's getting it done on the truck side for DGR Racing, but his focus, he said, I just got to win more races in ARCA. That's my primary goal with that brand new bodied Mustang winning at Mid-Ohio, then the next race at Pocono.
And I should say, the reason that they're not atop the point standings, they're young. They can't race all the races in the ARCA Menards National Series. So they race in the East Series, racing for the title there. They're racing for wins on the national side as they continue to really just need to age. They have the experience, they just don't have the years.
Yeah, he missed 4 races or 5 thus far just because of that age difference. You got to be 18 to run Daytona, Talladega, and Michigan. He's only 17.
And Sammy wasn't 18 to race those earlier in the year. He is now. Again, just 2/10 separate that number 18 and the 17. That's the distance you're seeing on your screen. That equals about 2/10 of a second.
I kind of wish we had like 4 of these boxes to put on the screen. There's some really good racing for position here. These are the 2 leaders up front. This is a great battle here for 4th, 5th, and 6th. The black and white Gainbridge Chevrolet, that's Rajah Caruth. Landon Hamilton settling in there in the 15, and then comes Nick Sanchez, 4th, 5th, and 6th on the racetrack. It's tightening up there too.
And Landon Hamilton, such a great story because we don't see him every week the way we see Rajah Caruth and Nick Sanchez, the teammates. Landon Hamilton racing today in that 15 for Venturini Motorsports. You heard Mike mention he raced and finished 3rd at Elko. So he is really, when he's in this car, he really does make the most of it.
He's one of 6 drivers that have raced in this number 15 for Venturini Motorsports this year with Kevin Reed. That's a lot of interchanging, a lot of learning new things. But we were really impressed with Landon. He won that big 300 lap late model stock car race at Martinsville, the signature race for late model stock racing. And to hear how he came together with that opportunity to this, man, he's eating this thing up, and he's really doing well. This young driver does not have a lot of experience in these big, heavy cars.
Yeah, he's also 17 years old from Amelia, Virginia. As we continue to go back on board with Nick Sanchez. Nick Sanchez out of Miami is 21 years old. This is our General Tire onboard view here at Milwaukee. Such a beautiful racetrack. Just a great part of the country, too. We know how much if you're watching at home and you've been here or been at any racetrack, you know the Midwest fans love their racing.
I'm watching the attitude of these cars, Krista, as the number 18. We know Sammy Smith's good. We know Taylor Gray's right there with him again. I also saw Nick Sanchez with a really comfortable looking platform car. Not a lot of lift in that right front.
So if you're Taylor Gray, you have been looking at this view, the backside of Sammy Smith's car this entire race. What do you need to do different? You made changes likely during that race break. He is right there.
He's been measuring Sammy for a number of laps. You notice how low Sammy was in turns 3 and 4 to try to cut off the lane defensively from Taylor Gray's charge here to turn 1.
And that's what he does again. Dips down low, tries to put the block on Taylor Gray in that 17. But how long will he be able to do it? Because Taylor Gray seems to have that momentum. They are now less than 2/10 of a second apart.
Taylor Gray closed on him that lap, and he's going to close again. Sammy's going to have to really protect the inside, which might also hurt his overall speed because he was running above that patch in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That was his performance.
Oh, he got loose there. Did you see that wiggle?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Mike, this battle is awesome. What are you seeing down there?
And no surprise, really, Krista, as the race began, I thought it was appropriate that those 2 cars started on the front row because the last week or so, those 2 cars have been locked at the hip. We remember the closing laps at Watkins Glen, both of them racing for the win. They were really racing close together at Springfield a week ago. I asked Taylor Gray about that, whether or not a bit of a rivalry might be developing between the 2. He just kind of laughed that off and said, no, we're really good friends, but on the racetrack, we are definitely competitors. Taylor Gray told me he's not going to necessarily be competing directly against Sammy Smith. He says he's competing against himself to a degree because he's just out there to do the best he possibly can do, and certainly he expects to win just as much as Sammy. We expect that throughout the course of this race, those two cars are going to be close together based on what we've seen over the last week or so.
They're certainly enjoying what we're seeing, and what we just saw as we take a look at the Auto Park replay here from Milwaukee. This is the wiggle. Let's see what happens here, Jim.
This is an effect of changing your line, not used to coming off the corner that shallow and out to the wall, and Sammy Smith nearly bought that bright blue wall here at Milwaukee with that wiggle. Wow.
But he was able to save it, and now stretching out his lead, not by much. I mean, we are still talking just 0.2 of a second apart. This is the battle for the lead here in Milwaukee as we are getting closer and closer to halfway. Look at this.
Gray is on the button. What a run off the bottom of turns 3 and 4 to get this challenge.
They are side by side across the line. It looks like Taylor Gray has the edge going into turn 1. Can he make it stick and take the lead from Sammy Smith? He does.
Got on the gas in the middle of turns 3 and 4, dipped it down low and punched the pedal. New leader, Taylor Gray, down the backstretch looking for win number 3 on the season.
Sammy Smith is looking for win number 3 as well, so don't expect him to go down without a fight. But right now, for now, this race belongs for the first time to Taylor Gray. This battle is awesome. We are seeing some great racing here at the Milwaukee Mile in the ARCA Menards Series as Taylor Gray is your new leader in that number 17. 76 laps have been turned here in the Sprecher 150. Can Sammy Smith get back up front? Some great racing happening behind them as well. We're going to show all of it to you here at Milwaukee when we come back here on MAV TV. Something is brewing in the brew capital of the world. In case you've missed anything, let's catch you up to speed with our Richmond Water Heaters mid-race recap. Sammy Smith in the 18 was your General Tire Pole Award winner and led the first half of this race, making it look easy over Taylor Gray. Taylor Gray had been chasing Jim, trying to get up to him.
Caution came out for the first race break on lap 50. They got every team to come in to get those 4 General Tires. We re-racked them. Taylor Gray got the inside because Sammy had choice. It looked like repeat of the last restart, but man, it was really hot and heavy throughout the field. Daniel Dye and points contender Rajah Caruth, were really going after it.
Yeah, we have seen great battles, especially the battles for kind of 4th and 5th have been really hot. But this battle up front, this was the pass for the lead. Again, Sammy Smith owned this race, but Taylor Gray had been chasing him, hunting him down. He was able to make it stick on lap 76. He takes the lead, and that's where Taylor Gray is, but Sammy Smith is still right there. Sammy Smith is your Sprecher most laps leader here in the Sprecher 150.
That's an additional point to the overall. Every series, ARCA Menards Series East and ARCA Menards Series award race points. Those bonus points also count towards the championship. They came in 1-2 in the East points. So you lead the most laps, you get a chance at an extra point.
The battle for 5th, we talked about how that's been heating up. This is Landon Pembleton in the 15 and Nick Sanchez in the 2. I don't think they have been able, I mean, they know what the other one had for breakfast.
Like
They've been so
cord
close
bumpers,
throughout this
right?
whole race.
Yeah, bungee cord between the bumpers for these two. Sanchez going in for championship. Landon Pembleton, hey, this is just the second ARCA Menards Series race. Races in the East as well. He's done really well in the shorter tracks. Big track debut for the Pembleton kid. I give him a very high passing grade here today.
Yeah, he finished 3rd at Elko. We were so impressed with that. Haven't seen him since then. He's back in this number 15 for Venturini Motorsports and really making the most of it. But look at Nick Sanchez dive down inside. We're riding along with Nick, the General Tire on board. He tried the inside, couldn't make it stick, goes back behind Landon Pembleton. He's going to try again. Looks like trying to make a move on the outside, but Landon Pembleton doing everything he can to block that move.
There's a car right ahead of him. It's Ron Vandermeyer Jr. Which lane will he run? Which lane will the 2 drivers racing on the lead lap choose? Vandermeyer in 13th still was just lapped by the leader. This is a great run into turn number 1.
There you see Vandermeyer in that number 66. A great racer himself. Ron Vandermeyer races a whole lot of different series.
Great run here, 9th at Iowa Speedway for Jeff McClure. He also is a defending and current point leader in the Mid-American Stock Car Series around this upper Midwest portion of the country.
And Nick Sanchez found what he wanted, was able to get around Landon Pembleton. Nick Sanchez As he comes back around, will be scored in the 5th position.
Sanchez dipping to the outside now. Vandermeer trying to just do what he can in that Mack rack 66. Sanchez has the line now, so he got around Pembleton. Now he's trying to gap him. He's trying to get as much distance here. Make that driver learn from my taillights rather than what I was doing from behind is what I'm thinking Nick Sanchez is and his team are thinking right now. Let's get some distance now. Open that thing up. Try to close on the lead pair.
And now who is Nick Sanchez going to go after next? How about his teammate, Raja Caruth, in that number 6? That is who is up ahead of him. But look at the lead, the stretch that Taylor Gray has been able to put the distance on Sammy Smith.
It's about 9/10 of a difference between Caruth and Sanchez. We'll keep an eye on that as we would like to see what's going on the racetrack. Our leader, Taylor Gray, has not been able to gap too much on Sammy Smith, but it's a comfortable margin considering where they were just 5 laps ago.
Yeah, Taylor Gray, 17 years old, and he has had so much success this year. Again, not running the entire season because he's too young. Sammy Smith, now old enough, Mike Massaro, but he wasn't earlier in the year, so he is trying to rack up those wins as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about wins for Sammy Smith, not really running for the championship, just trying to gain experience and gather wins. He's got a couple of them already this year, but got a little bit of work to do to get this one done today. He was the class of the field early on, but as you've seen here over the last several laps, Taylor Gray able to get by him, and the 18 unable to reel him in at this point in time. One of the reasons is the team has just told me is that they're loose off and they're struggling, especially in turns 3 and 4.
And that's what we wondered. You wondered kind of what you had even been listening to see if Sammy was saying anything on the radio, what was happening. So loose off.
Yeah, I have the good fortune of having a Racing Electronics radio up here. You hear me talking to drivers on occasion during cautions, but I listened to Sammy's channel when we went dip to commercial, and I'm telling you, he didn't say a whole lot. Just the spotter is clearing him, that kind of thing. But Mike's update is on point because I saw him wiggle off before. We saw it once when leading. He lost the lead, and it's still loose off of turn number 4. And by the way, that's the straightaway where the finish line is. So you've got to get that right for the last 50.
And you mentioned the sun is out. We haven't seen the sun, so that could be making the racetrack a little bit more slick. As we on your screen, you have the battle for the lead between the teenagers, the 17 of Taylor Gray and the 18 of Sammy Smith. The lower square is the battle between teammates, the 6 of Raja Caruth and Nick Sanchez in the 2. That's the battle for 4th. That's not just a battle between teammates. That could be a battle for the championship because they are 2 of the points contenders.
17 points separate these 2 young drivers. Nick Sanchez has the point lead in that number 2 Gainbridge Chevy. His teammate Raja Caruth has done a great job, but right now he's got a whole lot of pressure with 7/10 of a second. Now it's about less than 7 feet separating these 2 teammates.
And you saw Nick Sanchez sort of poke his nose in there, sort of take a peek, now backing off a little bit. Let's see when he makes his move, if he makes a move again.
Nick got to him. Raja, I think, is running the same line Nick wants to run. We'll see how he adapts here. These 2 young drivers really learning quickly. I talked to the crew chief on the 6 of Raja Caruth out the front windshield here. Brad Means, he said, Raja's so good. He can pick things up in 2, 3, or 4 laps, and he gets a really good handle and great feedback from that point forward. So a quick learner. Doing a lot better here than a year ago when these teams struggled, literally struggled around the racetrack to stay on the lead lap. A great turnaround for Rev Racing here at Milwaukee, running 4th and 5th.
Well, it is impressive because his start in racing was as a fan. He followed racing like a fan. He didn't really have the pipeline that some of these other drivers had. He had the die cast. He said he watched the movie Cars. That was his introduction. But he said once he decided to commit to it, go racing, he was all in. And his family has followed suit. His dad Roger down here today, as we see him at many racetracks as well. It's a family affair for the Caruth family.
And Rev Racing has done a great job allowing him to apply as a driver who never turned a wheel other than iRacing to be part of the Rev Racing program. He started him out in Legends cars. He did a lot of work in the shop. He got to run late model stocks at Hickory for a full season. Ran the full E-Series last year to Raja Caruth, while Nick Sanchez is like a year ahead. He's like the senior in high school, if you will. Raja's the junior learning because he's only had 6 starts last year in this series and now a full run here in the 6.
You see the 6 and the 2 passing the 42. That's Christian Rose. We haven't mentioned his name, but we have seen him in the series this year out of West Virginia. He has West Virginia Tourism, hashtag almost heaven, alongside on the car today.
He said you wouldn't believe how good Governor Jim Justice has been to that team, West Virginia Tourism. He wants to make sure people know how wonderful it is to live in his home state and visit.
That's awesome. It's awesome when you can use your race car as a platform, a billboard for the causes that are important to you, it's important to the teams. Taylor Gray, of course, races for David Gilliland Racing, a ton of success himself, but as a team owner as well. This team has had a lot of success this year. And talk about longevity. Talk about taking something you love and making the most of it. That 48 of Brad Smith. What a milestone race this is for him, Jim.
It's his 5th start at the mile, but it's also his 400th start in the ARCA Menards Series. It comes today at a track that I know is not too far from his home in Michigan, but Brad Smith has been a staple here at Rarefied Air. Congrats, Brad, on start number 400. Frank Kimmel, Iggy Katona, legends of the series. They have more starts than Brad, but not many others.
So only the 3rd driver to ever make it to 400 starts in the ARCA Menards Series. And the track, the fans, the drivers were able to honor him today. He received a checkered flag signed by the team. That
was signed on the way into the drivers' meeting this morning. Ron Drager, ARCA president, giving Brad that forever symbol. Your 400 start comes with a great celebration with all the drivers signing that checkered flag for him.
It's really cool. Really proud of Brad, and really happy we were able to give him that shout out today.
Sammy Smith trying to make the last of these last couple laps. Why not give it everything you got? We know we're coming in for fresh ones. If you can get the restart lead, you can control the restart. They know we're getting close to the 2nd race break.
So not just any lap, the last lap before that 2nd race break, when they turn across the start-finish line for 100 laps complete, 100 of 150. So Taylor Gray trying to hold off Sammy Smith so he can keep that lead. And like Jim said, that advantage. And he's able to do it.
Boy, Sammy gave a good run. He knows how used tires can feel with a lot of gas pedal applied to the rears on the 18 car. He was coming.
Whew, I'm worn out.
You got 50 more laps to go.
Right, I know. It sort of felt like the last lap. It was the last lap of that segment. 50 laps to go. They'll come back into the pits, get their final adjustments for this final stretch, as Taylor Gray in the 17 leads Sammy Smith and the rest of the field here at the Milwaukee Mile. Daniel Dye, Raja Caruth, and Nick Sanchez to follow. We'll be right back.
The ARCA Menards Series is brought to you by Sioux Chief, America's manufacturer of plumbing, drainage, supply, and support products. Lucas Oil, keep that engine alive. Sprecher Brewing Company, Milwaukee's original craft brewery. And by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Reese's, not sorry.
We are going to throw down the showdown lowdown for Sioux Chief, if you will. That's a whole lot, but there's a lot in this because this is one of those contingencies, one of these races within the races that these drivers are going after, Jim.
We started in Phoenix in the month of March, and it was really great to see Taylor Gray win that emotional win. And then Brandon Jones comes back to the series at Iowa Speedway, a track he loves, bringing it home for Menards sponsorship and his Joe Gibbs Racing team.
So again, certain races on the schedule are designated as Sioux Chief Showdown Lowdown races. The driver who wins them, like Sammy Smith did at Michigan, able to be within this points battle.
Smallest track on the schedule. Sammy Smith backed up that win at Berlin with a win at Elko.
That's right. Those were his back-to-back wins. Those were both national wins as well. And then you saw Taylor Gray. This was at Mid-Ohio on the road course.
Weather determined a lot, including Taylor Gray's winning move on Chris Wright, dipping in Bruce Cook's 42 to win that one.
Okay, from there it was on to Indianapolis at the little track there. Chandler Smith in that 15 able to take the win.
One of 6 drivers, but man, Chandler loves IRP, the full-time Truck Series playoffs driver. Got it done.
There's Brandon Jones again, Watkins Glen at the road course. Look at that smile. That's awesome.
Sammy Smith led 39 laps, but he didn't lead the 40th. Brandon Jones raced off to the victory as Taylor Gray and Sammy Smith got together in the final race lap and turn 1. This is cool. I'd love to just live on this graphic. How cool is that? You got everything right there for you.
Well, and all these drivers are in the race today. They're all really the future of the sport because they're all so young. They're all doing so many things. There you see, they are leading the Sioux Chief Showdown Lowdown. Can't wait to see what happens the rest of the season.
Tons of top 5s, 7 top 5s on average among these drivers. And that's only in the limited number of races we've run. The 10 races, we haven't finished up yet. We got Salem on the way. We got Toledo on the way yet.
Can't wait to bring those to you here on MAV TV. Of course, first we're going to bring you these last 50 laps, the final stretch of this race here at Milwaukee. Teams making the changes, making the adjustments. We're going to find out what they did and how it sets us up for the last bit of the racing here in the Sprecher 150 from Milwaukee on MAV TV. So much racing history here at the Milwaukee Mile. We're going to make some more of it today here in the ARCA Menards series with the Sprecher 150 because we are getting ready for the final stretch of racing. The first 50 laps belonged to Sammy Smith in the 18. The next 50 laps belonged to Taylor Gray in the 17. 2 teenagers racing in the ARCA Menards East Series as well. So let's see what's going to happen in this final stretch. Let's see if we can get a driver on the radio, Jim.
Well, we know how good Sammy Smith's car has been for the first half. Sammy, you're in that number 18 car. No more built-in timeouts. What did you guys do on this critical pit stop?
Yeah, we made some changes to make it better. I'm not sure what we did that first stop, but kind of swung in the wrong direction, and we'll give it another shot here.
I did hear you coming to the pit road saying you couldn't hear the team or the team could not hear you. Have you had the radio issues rectified under this break?
I think so. I think we're all good now. I couldn't hear the guys, and they couldn't really hear me, so we're all good now, and let's go rip.
We wish you well. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
So Sammy had a lot going on there. He was very adamant. I could hear him, but his voice was breaking up around the entire racetrack, and the team wanted to know what he wanted before he got to pit road. Thankfully, a 5-minute break allowed them to make those changes, including the radio.
Okay, let's get more from downstairs with Mike.
Well, Sammy didn't let on to exactly what they did, but I checked in with the team in the 18. In order to rectify the radio situation, they had to switch out the entire steering wheel because the switch on the wheel was not working. That was just one of the many changes they made coming down pit road for this break. They made a track bar adjustment, a wedge adjustment, air pressure adjustment. The car was just too loose, as we mentioned, especially in turns 3 and 4. We'll look to see if the 18 can rebound from losing the lead during the last segment and take it back here in the closing laps. Back to you guys.
Well, they have certainly given us a lot to watch. Sammy Smith in that 18 and Taylor Gray in the 17. Something else we've been watching is one of the storylines coming into this race as we ride on board with Amber Balkin in that number 30. You see her hand out the window there, our Sioux Chief camera. She is just one of 6 females in this race.
Will restart 14th. She's also a full-time racer, as is Tony Brodninger, the highest runner of the 6 females in the field. Tony will restart 12th in the number 25. So great to see their efforts. The cars don't know what gender you are. They don't know what age you are. They don't have any difference. You just got to get after it. Great to see them getting their chance here.
We mentioned Tony and Amber. You also have, I know Mandy Chick, I talked with her today in that number 74. She's racing 16th. It's a family affair for her. Her dad, a longtime racer, Truck Series owner, as we go back to green here in Milwaukee, watching that 17 and 18 out front. Oh, it's been so good. This is what they've done all race long. Sammy Smith able to take it on this one.
The first time Sammy Smith has made an inside front row restart. He's making it work as Taylor Gray is trying to figure it out to keep Daniel Dye behind him here.
And we're going to talk about a lot of these drivers. Raja Caruth, Daniel Dye, Landon Pembleton. These are the ones that have been battling for 5th. Can they get up there and shake things up between the 18 and the 17?
Now is go time. You got to figure out what you got because we know air is very important here. These long straightaways, and if you make them longer, that's even more air dependent on the front end of these cars. The advantage will always go to the car out front, and Sammy Smith has a big lead, half a second and growing now off of turn 4 as the rest of these cars fight for position. And Daniel Dye's case, try to fight for grip off of turn 4 here early in this run.
And Daniel Dye not far behind Taylor Gray. He's trying to get back up there as he has been doing the entire race, really, and we've been talking about that 4th, 5th position. There's a lot of players in the mix, including Jesse Love in that 20 and Landon Pembleton in the 15, and Greg Van Alst is up there to 8th.
Great run by Van Alst. He comes into this race 4th in points. He's never been to the mile in anything. Hoping to get the setup right thanks to some help from his longtime Hendrick Motorsports crew chief Jim Long and Chad Bryant, who brought the car off that blue 35 behind this pair racing for position.
Just 44 laps to go in this race. There you see Greg Van Alst in the 35. We talked about Jake Finch in that number 1, the battle for 8th.
Finch has not dropped out of the top 10. I'm so impressed with this 17-year-old on this big racetrack. Yeah, he's great in Outlaw late model Pensacola and Mobile, Montgomery, but man, when he gets to this big track, he's really showing us something here in that number 1 Phoenix Construction Chevrolet.
Let's take another Auto Park It replay. This is of the restart. You said, Jim, this is when you have to go. That's certainly what Sammy Smith in that number 18 on the inside was able to do.
Sweet move by the number 18 team. Taylor Gray had only started on the inside on restart, so give it to Sammy Smith. Reese's sweet move nomination there for the great restart he had here.
Watching the battle between between teammates, the 20 of Jesse Love, the 15 of Landon Pembleton. Neither one of them are the full-time drivers of these cars. Jim, you mentioned the Venturini Motorsports likes to utilize a lot of different drivers, but these two have been really good this year.
Yeah, Jesse Love getting the majority of the starts in the number 20, but Landon, as I mentioned, he's only got a couple of chances. This car is full up with 6, 7 different drivers we'll see throughout the course of the season. And Landon's really doing a nice job here, staying with Jesse Love. They now have been able to communicate. Shannon Rush, the crew chief on the 20, and the crew chief on the 15, Kevin Reed. They're full-time in the shop all day, every day. They do all the setups with Billy Venturini. They've tried to bring every car the same, so these young drivers are getting really good equipment, adapting to it, and now it's up to Landon. Hey, what do you want in the car? I don't know. What do you got for me? Well, I noticed this. The spotter for the 20 car is Lloyd Garner. He spotted for Corey Heim all last year and works with this young driver, Jesse Love, and they really enjoy that combination and the experience Lloyd brings to what Jesse can do.
And look at what Landon is able to do. He's able to sort of sneak down on the inside of Jesse Love. He hasn't been able to make the pass yet. They are stuck together like glue.
Up a little bit higher. Jesse did a great move there. He got maybe a foot out of his comfort zone on the outside line, but it's working.
We're going to continue to watch this battle. Jesse able to take a little bit of a slight advantage, but Landon is right there. Look at it. Almost looks like he has such great corner entry speed.
Off of turn 2, the big launch, the big drive off of 2 is Landon Pembleton's strength now. Down the backstretch, this continues to rage on for 6th.
Oh, you can't look away. Look at that move. That was awesome by Landon Pembleton.
I love how racy this track is for the ARCA Menards Series. Last year we saw drivers going 2 and 3 wide at this point in the race. Sam Mayer raced up to 3rd. He's from right here in Milwaukee area. He'd never raced here before. To see that kind of effort for that driver now full-time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, get a shot here and racing like these guys are, let's find where the racetrack is. We don't know any better. We don't know you're supposed to run the bottom in the corners and high on the straightaways. It's great.
Last year it was Ty Gibbs who won that race. It was the first trip for the ARCA Menards Series back here to Milwaukee in 14 years. It had been since 2007. And all the feedback was glowing. We're so excited that the ARCA Menards Series is back again in 2022.
Frank Kimmel won 2 of those 3 races they had in the early 2000s. He's here today. He works the jack. He's a mechanic on the number 17 for Taylor Gray. So you know Taylor Gray came in strong thinking, I got a question. I know Frank, my teammate here at DGR, will get it done. They're running 2nd right now. This is another great battle here.
There's the 25 of Tony Brenninger. Running 12th, one of those we talked about, those 6 females in the field. She is a full-time driver, also for Venturini Motorsports, having a good run today.
And Tony did not race this track last year. The number 25 team was a multiple driver situation last year. Tony committed for the full year this year, but this is her first trip around the mile. So as she sits 5th in points, learning this lesson, trying to gather points, Greg Van Alst is her point combatant. She's right there, racing just a couple spots behind him.
Yeah, good afternoon for Tony, trying to go after the points that whatever points she can, as Sammy Smith continues to lead.
And she qualified 10th, a great qualifying effort, and really getting it done here on a flat mile. It can be so challenging for drivers that don't have a lot of laps here. This could be a really long race if you don't get it right, and Tony's getting it right over the course of this run.
And the conditions change. You know, we talked about weather affected. They only got a few laps in practice. They were able to qualify, but then it was overcast, and then all of a sudden, Jim, you noticed the sun came out. So these teams didn't necessarily set the car up the way that they thought it might be coming into this race.
Got a good look there briefly at the leader, Sammy Smith. This is Amber Balkin racing the number 30. Christian Rose, the former Major League prospect, Division I baseball pitcher, University of Maryland. He went from that ball field to racing. Great to see Christian here in the number 42 West Virginia Tourism Chevy for Bruce Cook.
And behind him, Amber Balkin. We talked about her in that number 30, looking for a solid day after some bad luck, especially this summer. It's a good battle for 14th there.
Yeah, Amber's car was a bit off in the first segment, so giving the opportunity for these drivers, Amber's first full season, hey, we're all going to take this in sections. We're not going to worry about 150 laps. We're worried about 50 at a time. Mark Brett's got it right here. He won the championship here in this series in 2009 as the crew chief.
And before that restart, I was telling you a little bit about the driver in that number 74. She's running 16th, just behind this 42 and the 30. An impressive story. She races with her dad. Her dad's a fire chief in Kansas City. He owned a truck series team. She is studying mechanical engineering, getting her master's in engineering management. Smart girl.
And to continue that female tie, Amber Slagle actually had an issue with the right front tire in practice. First one's over. Mandy and her dad to see if everything's okay. It's kind of cool.
Sammy Smith back out front where he started this race. He lost the lead to Taylor Gray for the mid portion of the race. This is Leland Honeyman in the 02. We saw his name when we showed you those the Menards East Series standings earlier.
Second in the standings, and this young driver, I'm telling you, he won the pole and almost won the race at Five Flag Speedway just his second time on this platform. Sammy Smith won that day, but that East race has really propelled him into second in points, and he backed it up with another top 5 finish twice this year. 3 top 5s already in the season for this driver, the 02 for Young's Motorsports. Tyler Young's here today. I asked about Leland. He said, man, we got him locked in. He won a big race at Hickory last year. We're hoping to do a bunch more with him, and that's a full-time NASCAR truck team. Young's Motorsports coming into the ARCA platform. He said, we want to have Leland's back with us. We want to get a few more drivers opportunities here in the West, East, and the ARCA Menards Series in the coming years.
He's doing a great job, currently running 11th. This is a new track for him. I talked to him right before practice. He was excited. He said he's been studying it a whole bunch. As we go back up front, talking about the East Series, Sammy Smith leads the East standings and the Sioux Chief Showdown. Can't race for the championship because, again, he was too young when the season started, but he does have a pair of wins, back-to-back wins, looking for hopefully number 3 today is his plan.
The first 4 races in the East Series were separate from the ARCA Menards Series. Sammy Smith overall has led 52% of the laps in the East Series this year to try to go back-to-back as a champion.
This is the battle for 14th between Christian Rose and Amber Balkin. Amber Balkin able to take over that number 42 on this lap.
And here comes Mandy Chick on the inside of the number 74. Good job by Mandy, making that pass work in her second ARCA Menards Series start.
From Kansas, goes to engineering school in Indiana. Tara Hote at the Rose Holman Institute. Says she's getting ready to go back to classes. Said she's hands-on the car. She does it all, as most small teams do.
Up to 15th. Hope to see Mandy some more. She raced a lot in the ARCA JEGS CRA All-Stars Tour. Ran a bunch of sportsman races, and then really got focusing. I want to be an ARCA Menards Series racer. And bought this race car off of a very successful team, the Visconti team, and she's really doing a nice job with it. Really, it's her and her dad and other friends that help out.
Yep, he said a lot of volunteers on the race team. Her number used to be the 23. She was able to jump back to the 74, which was her dad's number. As we continue to follow, back up front with the leader, Sammy Smith. Mike, what's happening with that race team? We'll try to pop back down to Mike Massaro in just a bit. As we have Sammy Smith up front. Again, Taylor Gray running second. They have been 1-2 all day, the 2 teenagers. Daniel Dye running third. Let's see if we can check in with Mike now. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Krista. Yeah, so just something to pay attention to. Talking with Sammy Smith about what he learned racing this event last year. Remember, he finished 5th. His teammate Ty Gibbs won the race. He said he learned last year that the tire fall off is tremendous. He learned that he needs to be more conservative, take better care of his equipment. This last run with this new set of tires is going to be important. Still quite a few laps to go. The tires are going to fall off a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see just how much he was able to take care of those tires. It looks like he's extending the lead, but he certainly doesn't want to fall back to Taylor Gray.
Well, that'll be something to watch for sure. It doesn't look like they have, that battle where they're neck and neck right now. So that is helping him. He doesn't have to defend.
2-second advantage, the 18 of Sammy Smith over this car, the number 17, the Ford Performance Mustang of Taylor Gray. Taylor Gray is actually racing a Mustang. We got to give a shout out to Ron Hutcherson. He was actually the first ARCA winner in a Mustang. Ron, a great racer out of Iowa, lost his life after some illness, and great to know that Ron Hutcherson lives on. We see the Mustang name. We think of Ron Hutcherson here in the ARCA Racing Series.
It's a big loss for the racing community in the ARCA Menards Series. 25 laps to go in this race here at Milwaukee. Taylor Gray, you see him in that black number 17, running second. Here's Daniel Dye in that 43. Let's not count him out, because if something happens with those 2 leaders, Daniel Dye is there ready to pounce.
He finished 3rd in this race last year, but he was an ARCA Menards Series East driver coming in to learn. He's learned now what he wants in that race car. He's still hanging on here to 3rd. He now gained a 10th on Taylor Gray that lap to close in 3rd position.
And they are sort of the class of the field. Those 3 are running up front. Further back, you do have teammates, Raja Caruth in the 6 and Nick Sanchez in the 2. Raja Caruth currently about 6 seconds back from the Daniel Dye. So again, we're gonna see if Daniel Dye can go after Taylor Gray and Sammy Smith up front. You said 3rd is where he finished here last year. He certainly wants to do better than that. There you see the field. But further back, we're gonna see, here come some lapped cars. There's the 6 of Raja Carruth, again leading his teammate Nick Sanchez.
Pair of white Chevrolets, and oh, by the way, they've finished 1, 2, or within a position of each other 4 times already this year. They've raced together a bunch. Watkins Glen comes to mind. Michigan and Kansas come to mind. They have raced a lot of laps, nose to tail, side by side, and Raja right now has a better handling Chevrolet than his teammate, the point leader Nick Sanchez.
They're going after Daniel Dye because they don't want Daniel Dye to gain those points on them in the championship battle.
They're 4th and 5th right now.
Raja Carruth in the 6th, that's his teammate Nick Sanchez in the number 2, just behind Nick Sanchez, 1 year older, he's 21, Raja Carruth is 20. And there we're riding with, that's Landon Pembleton. What a great day for the driver of the number 15 for Venturini Motorsports.
That's a new look. He was always around Jesse Love, whereas Jesse Love will
right.
find Landon Pembleton. He's got a 3-second gap now, running in 6th position for this second timer. Pembleton up to 6th. Jesse Love's back in 7th, not in frame right here. Pembleton's got a really good piece right now, thanks to the job that Kevin Reed and his team have done in that last race break.
Yeah, his second race this season. He finished 3rd at Elko. He says, give me the wheel and watch what I can do with it. There you see Jesse Love. That's the number 20, currently running 7th, also for Venturini Motorsports. Last week's winner on the dirt at Springfield.
Yeah, he'll get a chance at a big bonus. The Performance Seed folks have put up a bonus. If Jesse can win this coming Sunday, you'll see it on Mavs Sunday night. He'll get a $50,000 bonus for sweeping the dirt races this year.
So you're telling me we went from dirt last week to asphalt this week, back to dirt next week.
All on State Fairgrounds ovals that started as horse tracks probably around the turn of the century. We're not talking about the year 2000 either. We're talking about 1900 racetracks. A lot of history here in the upper Midwest to celebrate in these 3 race span.
I love it. Yeah, we're thrilled to be at the oldest continuously operating speedway in the world. Started in 1903 as we give you a look at Jake Finch in that number 1. Famous racing name, the Finch family.
I like Jake's attitude. I like the way he goes about it. He has actually been a student of this sport. He came to Talladega with the Venturini team just to observe. He and Jesse Love, too young to race there, but when Tony Breidinger had an issue, those 2 guys got in the hauler to the backup, hauling parts out, waiting for direction. They got hands-on. That impressed me a bunch because you see some drivers that care. When is it my turn? No, they were there to observe, and they were there to help their teammates at Venturini that day. It really impressed me. Made an impression of Jake's ability behind the wheel is coming through here. This is a hard track to figure out. He's running 8th right now.
Running 9th is Greg Van Alst, veteran, 41 years old from Indiana. There you see his stats as he is racing Milwaukee. It's a good looking car. You know, I think what happens is we kind of see these the white cars, the sort of the standard look. This is a really good looking car. It's noticeable on the racetrack.
I got a chance to talk to Greg yesterday. He said, you know what, we've had really good success running a late model. They won the 2019 ARCA CRA Super Series Championship. This whole schedule, he said, we're going full time, we think. He said it's been a lot harder, though. It's him and 2 other volunteers after full-time jobs in Anderson, Indiana. And then Jim Long, living in Charlotte, helps put the final touches on or directs them on what they need to change at night. So a lot of work's gone in, but Greg said it's more than we anticipated. So to see them perform, top 10 run here at Milwaukee, good to stay on track to stay 4th in points.
It's awesome for the 41-year-old. Okay, so from 41, not the oldest driver in the series, by the way.
He's still a rookie, though, bounty rookie.
Isn't that? That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. But behind him is the 16-year-old, the number 40 of Matt Gould. 16 years old. I went up to him today. I said, are you sure? He's like, yeah, he's 16. But he said he's hands-on. He helped assemble this car. His dad did the setup. He adjusted and built the front clip. So he is very hands-on with the race team.
Nice Motorsports on the quarter panel. His dad, Phil Gould, is a crew chief for Carson Hocevar, who's in the playoffs in the NASCAR Truck Series. He also helped out Elliott Sadler in the Xfinity Series at Childress. He also spent some time with Ryan Reed winning at Daytona in the Xfinity Series. So Phil brings a ton of talent, but I think it's a little different when it's your son driving a Chevrolet for a team you work for full-time in the Truck Series as the crew chief.
They just turned 135 laps as Sammy Smith, the leader, came across the line. So 15 to go here in Milwaukee as we continue to show you that 40 of Matt Gould. This is the 02. We just talked about Leland Honeyman running 11th.
When it comes to making up points, everybody's going to get the points that they finish on. It's not going to be separate point systems. Hey, if you finish 3rd overall in the East Series, you get 3rd place points. No, Leland's trying to hang on to that position, 2nd in the standings in the ARCA Menards Series East. We'll see him again at Bristol. We'll see him again to try to race for the East Championship. Is this the 2nd of 3 combination races? So as he settles in, it's hard to say. It's been a while since you raced, Leland. get back in the groove here, get to Milwaukee. He's fighting for a top 10 finish here.
Just 17 years old, originally from Phoenix, as most race car drivers, a lot of race car drivers do, moved to North Carolina to be closer to the team, closer to the resources. So he now lives in Mooresville. 17 years old, running 11th here in Milwaukee.
Trying to chase down Matthew Gould in his debut in the ARCA Menards Series for that 10th position. That's a big deal when you say, I finished top 10 at the Milwaukee Mile.
Oh my gosh, the history that has turned these laps. So this race, I mean, I told you, what did I walked through the tunnel today?
Yeah, what'd you do?
I touched the brick. Every time I walk through the tunnel at Milwaukee, it's been a while since I've been here, I touch the bricks and hoping that they might, just talk to me a little bit.
The tunnel was built in 1938. Those limestone blocks have been in place since. This was a horse track, a dirt track. They paved it in 1954. They only paved after Indy with the bricks and Darlington. This is the third paved track. That's why USAC spent so much time here with drivers that ran the Indy 500 and raced in stock cars for so many years that ran both. Unsers, Foyt, and Dreddy. They all ran stock cars. Parnelli won 7 stock car races here in a row. That's how cool this track's been.
It is. It's so cool, and the drivers know it. They know that history. Someone like Sammy Smith grew up in Iowa. He's a Midwestern guy, knows the history, knows what a win would mean on his resume. But also, like you said, he's racing for the ARCA Menards East Series Championship. So it's a very important race. He's got Taylor Gray, his top competitor, right behind him.
And the Sioux Chief Showdown, that's nearly $1 million purse within the ARCA Menards Series. He leads that as well. Be a big day for him as well.
Okay, how about another paycheck? What about the dirt double? That's what Jesse Love is going for. You see that the $50,000 prize on the line. He won the last dirt race. That was last week in Springfield. So now he's trying to do the same thing in DuQuoin next week.
He gets a $50,000 bonus if he wins next Sunday night at the Southern Illinois State Fairgrounds in DuQuoin, Illinois. If he doesn't happen to win and he has a second place finish or whatever, the highest finisher average between the two dirt races still bags $5,000.
A lot on the line. Certainly another reason, as if we didn't have enough reasons to watch on MAV TV next week, we're all going to have our eyes on Jesse Love as we have 10 to go here at the Milwaukee Mile. The focus is on Sammy Smith. He is your leader. He was the General Tire pole sitter. He has Taylor Gray chasing him down. Taylor Gray also wanting to win. Both have a couple of wins this season.
It's been about a 2-second advantage. Taylor Gray's now chipped away at it just by a little bit. Sammy Smith's run off of turn 4. We don't see him loose at all here. He's got a nice, smooth, wide exit. That's Taylor Gray in the black Mustang behind him at the start-finish line now. That distance remains about 2 seconds. Gray lost a little bit of time that lap.
And we had Daniel Dye chasing them down in third. He's lost a little bit. He's about 2 seconds back. But if something happens, there's lapped traffic out on this racetrack. There are still 9 laps to go. Anything could happen. Daniel Dye could sneak into the catbird seat. What a win that would be for that young man.
And Krista, I'm really glad you brought that up because cars that are a bit off the pace, they might have a handful on handling. You go in these long corners, they're quarter-mile long. If you can't keep that car down, or in the case of a leader, Sammy Smith at one point had to pick between 2 lap cars to make the run. It's a lot to worry about here in these final moments. It's not going to be a cakewalk by any means.
And Daniel Dye finished third here last year. He has experience. He said he loves this racetrack. He likes the fact there's a little bit of aero involved. It's in the driver's hands. That's what he likes. He would love to win here at Milwaukee, currently chasing down Taylor Gray and Sammy Smith. Just a bunch of teenagers up front.
We mentioned there's 3 drivers in the national championship points right now. Daniel Dye runs 3rd, Rajah Caruth 4th, Nick Sanchez 5th. The difference maker may come on the short tracks for Dye. It may come on the bigger tracks at Kansas Speedway for the Rev Racing team. So every point matters. Dye sitting 3rd, right ahead of those 2 Rev Racing teammates. They're 2, 1, and 3 in the points.
And they're 3, 4, and 5 on the racetrack right now, chasing down Sammy Smith. He's dealing with lapped traffic. 28 drivers made their way to Wisconsin we have 16 states represented, also Washington, D.C., 2 drivers from Canada. They range in age from 16 to 63. They are all racing for a trophy and a whole lot of root beer here in the Sprecher 150 happening at the Milwaukee Mile.
Caught a glimpse of Zachary Tinkle in the number 12. Andy Hillenberg brought 4 cars here, including one for Bryce Hageberg. He was the driver involved in that 2-car crash at the end of the race last Sunday at Springfield. Bryce walked away. He's in the race today. Good to see they were able to recover and bring that 18-year-old back to the racetrack. He walked away uninjured. Buddy Kofoid said he'd be a little sore. He raced a midget on Friday night as well. And I believe a Cars Tour race and a pavement race this past Saturday. So glad to see both those young drivers walk away.
5 laps to go at Milwaukee in the Sprecher 150. Sammy Smith leads Taylor Gray. A couple of teenagers out front with another teenager, Daniel Dye, trying to chase them down. There you see Taylor Gray dealing with the lap traffic there. Greg Van Alst
Back in ninth, just got lapped by the leaders, making way here. Like, say, hey guys, you want the outside, go ahead and take it. I'm on the bottom here. But it's 3 wide at the bottom. This is a huge advantage for Sammy Smith. Taylor Gray stuck outside on the turns 3 and 4, and he's going to build on this lead big time. Is now Taylor Gray able to get finally through a 3 wide run in the corner. 3.4 seconds now the lead.
4 laps to go. The Midwest has been good to Sammy Smith this summer. He won at Berlin in Michigan. He won Elko in Minnesota. Now looking for another M. Michigan, Minnesota, and Milwaukee. That's what he wants. Taylor Gray says not so fast. 3 seconds back. Anything could happen with just 4 laps to go here in the ARCA Menards Series.
Got to put together really good corners here. Sammy Smith's going to encounter a couple of cars, still deciding who wants to lead into the corner. It's Jake Finch and the number 06 going around turns 1 and 2. Tim Richmond back in the wheel, back behind the wheel again here in ARCA.
Sammy Smith just trying to do exactly what he has done all race. Smooth, consistent, clean laps. He has to turn 3 more of them to find himself in victory lane.
2/10 better, and with that lead, Christy, he really can pick his moments. He doesn't have to rush the pass. Jake Finch is now being coached, hey man, let this guy through. He's the leader. He's got a better race car right now. We want to finish this race. Let him by on the outside.
18 years old. We talked about the fact he raced in Milwaukee in the Xfinity Series. Didn't have a great outcome. We talked about, we know the weather was factoring down in Daytona, but he just loves to race. This is what he does. He grew up in Iowa. This is what he knows. This is what he lives and breathes.
And Super Late Models has been his main background. In 2020, the ARCA Midwest Tour Super Late Model Series came here. Sammy raced with them and finished 4th. So it's been a process for him that started just 2 years ago, coming to 4 here in Milwaukee.
The white flag is out. Sammy Smith going through 1 and 2. He can smell the root beer in victory lane in the Sprecher 150. Taylor Gray is running 2nd. Daniel Dye 3rd. But it is Sammy Smith out front, the 18-year-old from Iowa, racing in Wisconsin, where racing matters so much. As he comes out of turn 4, happy days are here again in Milwaukee. He did it his way. Sammy Smith, your winner in the Sprecher 150. Nice job to Sammy Smith, his 3rd win this season in the ARCA Menards Series.
Good to see Wisconsin teammate there, Kevin Kerr. They call him Hot Rod. He's been on this team all season long. It's a home win for him and this team, who all went together last night to the Milwaukee Brewers ballpark and hung out together.
That's awesome. The Brewers played today as well.
Great job, Mark Ruffalo. They said we made the wrong move. Sammy had time and responded with the right move here.
And really had to chase a lot of different things. They had radio communication issues. He said the car got loose midway through the race. Taylor Gray was able to take the lead from him midway through the race. Sammy Smith and that team fought back and came away the winners.
Let her rip, Sammy. That's a different way to get a little pavement, black on the pavement, right?
He is a winner in Wisconsin. That means so much. Congratulations to Sammy Smith. We're going to hear from him here in Milwaukee when we come back on MAV TV.
The ARCA Menards Series is brought to you by Richmond Water Heaters, the water heater experts.
Auto Park It. The future of parking is here. See it at autoparkit.com.
And by Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive.
Any day the sun is shining at a racetrack is a good day, and it was a great day for Sammy Smith as he climbs out of his winning race car. Let's head downstairs to Mike Massaro.
And he is getting drenched by his team. A shower of water in victory lane for Sammy Smith. And man, let me tell you, had the pride of the field there in that first segment. Second segment, though, a little bit different. How critical was it to get that last adjustment right to pull this car into victory lane?
Yeah, I think it was very important. I'm not sure what we did there that second stop, but it wasn't very good, and I was able to stay with him. But I feel like I needed to get away from them there to try to protect my lead, and those changes they did that last stop were awesome.
Taylor Gray was able to take the lead from you before that final pit stop at lap 100, but that restart had to be on the gas. What was that like?
Yeah, it was important. I just thanks all my partners, Allstate Peterbilt Group, Pilot Flying J, TMC, all these KBM guys, but I'm happy to be here.
Congratulations on a victory.
Thank you.
Sammy Smith in victory lane for the 3rd time in 2022.
Yeah, and he mentioned his KBM team. That's Kyle Busch Motorsports. So new to the ARCA series, but now a 3-time winner as we take a look at today's race results.
Big win for Sammy. Great points day for Taylor Gray on a couple of levels. Sioux Chief Showdown and in the ARCA Menards Series East, where he runs second now to Sammy. Daniel Dye, another great run to third. He finished highest among our 3 championship contenders.
That's right. Gains a little bit on Raja Caruth and Nick Sanchez. Great day for Venturini Motorsports, Landon Pembleton, Jesse Love. Talked about them throughout the race. What about the 16-year-old? They're in 10th. Matthew Gould. Congratulations to him.
Great debut race. This is, this is not a short track. This is kind of like a super speedway in lurking to get the handle right. They did a nice job today in that number 40.
The root beer is flowing down there in Sprecher 150, the Sprecher 150 victory lane as Sammy Smith continues the interviews and the congratulations. Let's hear from today's second place finisher, Mike. And we saw Mike try and have a little audio technical difficulties down there. We'll see if we can get Taylor Gray in as well. But let's tell you, the next time we're going to be with you is coming up. We talked about that dirt double. That's what we're going to see if Jesse Love is going to go for $50,000 at the Southern Illinois Fairgrounds in DuQuoin.
Have the cooler on one side, the bowl of chips on the other, and that
Ooh.
recliner Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going under the lights on the dirt mile. I can't wait.
Can we do that? Can we have chips and recliner?
Well,
We might
you got
have to
some
work
Sprecher
on
root beer
that.
next to you, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Let's try Mike one more time. Mike?
Well, Krista, for a portion of the race, Taylor Gray had the car to beat. You were able to get by the 18 car, but what did you need over that final run to keep up with him?
Yeah, I feel like we just lost a lot of front grip there at the end. Second stage, I thought we had a really good car, and then we didn't go enough for the track getting tighter as we went on. So just got to go back to the shop and keep working and getting better. I can't thank all my guys enough at DGR. I think we had a pretty decent Ford Mustang today, just not enough to keep up with them.
Nice run.
Thank you.
And once again, Taylor Gray and Sammy Smith running very close together on the racetrack. We expect to see a lot more of that as the season winds down. Taylor Gray finishes second today.
I know, they said no rivalry, but they sure are making it fun for us here on MAV TV. All right, now it's your turn. You need to vote for the Reese's Sweet Move of the race. Our first nominee happened on lap 55 when Daniel Dye passed Raja Caruth on the track.
Great move there. He ended up finishing ahead of his point rivals, and this is a great move. Are you voting for this one? This one, Taylor Gray took the lead from Sammy Smith on lap 76.
Or are you voting for what happened later in the race on lap 104 when Sammy Smith said, I'm going to take it back. I'll take my Reese's right here, right now. Sammy Smith went on to win the race. Those are your 3 nominees. So here's what you do. You jump on Twitter on the ARCA Menards Series MAV TV account to make your vote. And Daniel Dye, let's hear from him downstairs.
Daniel Dye coming home third. You told me before the race you were looking for a clean run. Do you feel like you had it today?
Yeah, I think so. We struggled a little bit with the handling, but overall, our champion, number 43 from GMS, just was a fantastic race car. Got a nice top 3 finish, got a good points day, so just proud to put this Chevrolet on the podium.
The key there was a good points day. He keeps chipping away at the championship lead. Krista?
It's going to be so good going to DuQuoin next week on the dirt, Jim.
And all these young drivers get to apply what they learned just a week ago on the dirt mile. It's a different racetrack, but DuQuoin will be fun to watch. I'm telling you, these guys now have a little more dirt experience. It's going to be fun.
So Daniel Dye takes a little bit of edge in the points over Raja Caruth and Nick Sanchez. He finishes third. Taylor Gray was second, but the day belonged to Sammy Smith. You see him there in victory lane enjoying the root beer and the Sprecher 150. We hope you enjoyed the race here on MAV TV. For Mike Massaro and Jim Trado and our entire crew here at MAV TV, I'm Krista Kelly saying congratulations to our ARCA Menards Series 2022 Sprecher 150 winner, Sammy Smith of Kyle Busch Motorsports. The teenager from Iowa wins in Wisconsin.